Today's video, we're going to talk about pausing ads for the holidays / having too much work and then pausing your ads because of that. You know, your ad capacity can't handle any more work because you don't have guys to go out and send to people's locations to do the work, what have you, or something similar to that. A lot of people will think to pause their ads because they don't want to waste their ad spend, or over holidays, they're, basically just shut down. Maybe it's even a brick and mortar business and their doors physically close for 2 days over the holiday weekend, for Thanksgiving, whatever. Why? This is the worst idea ever, okay? So a lot of people contemplating doing this, I've seen make this mistake over and over again over the last 10 plus years of running this advertising firm. And every single time it leads to disaster. Specifically, when you go to turn your ads back on again, they're not the way that they were back when you first shut them off. And the question is, not if it will happen, but how long is it going to take for your ads to go back to normal? I'm going to talk about that time in which it takes for your ads to go back to normal, and how much of a risk this is, and how much time you can get away with shutting your ads off before this happens, given that it doesn't take very much time. And basically, the longer they're shut off, the longer it's going to take for your ads to recover and get back to where they were again. There's a better alternative that I'm going to talk about as well of shutting your ads off that'll cut down on the waste in ad spend, marketing a business that can't deliver a product or service at the given time, without having your ads take forever to get back going again once you can deliver your products and services again. So with that said, I'm going to get into all that and more. If you do not know who I am Corey. I am an owner of Guaranteed PPC, an online advertising agency that specializes in guaranteeing results for their clients. That is, we do not charge our clients management fees until we can get a certain minimum lift in profitability of their ads in excess of the management fees that we charge. We are the only agency out there who offers any kind of similar guarantees, which should tell you something about the quality of the information on this particular video. So with that said, getting into the content. When you're stopping your ads when you're busy or feel busy, this will actually put you in the back of the queue in terms of the quality of traffic that you get, that you have been getting, has contributed to the sales that your ads have been generating once you do that. And this actually applies to Google ads. This also applies to Facebook ads, Microsoft ads, which are the main three that everybody talks about, especially though with Google ads and Microsoft ads, but the most with Google ads, okay? And the reason for this is because there's an algorithm that drives the ad system on Google, if you will. Ultimately that, at least in a competitive environment, where it happens the worst, you actually have sometimes 10, 20 different advertisers, cycling in and out of the ad spots on the top of Google that Google has to pick from to decide who's going to show up at the top of Google, okay? What they want, ultimately, is the best experience for their users. They want to show the ads. It's going to help users on an individual user-by-user level get what they want. Click on the ad gets, is relevant and stands out as something that's going to help them right away. They click through that ad, they get to the website's something that helps them right away. So that they want to click on ads in the future, so Google can sell more ads in the future, and they're building long-term viability of their search engine. So when they have a bunch of advertisers to pick from, that is primarily their goal. But in addition to that, or should I say tied to that, Google's algorithm is constantly testing all the advertisers. They're seeing if they should show this guy for this person or this guy, and the algorithm is only able to make these quality of decisions when there's certain things that hold true that they can rely on. It looks at past data to predict future stuff that's going to happen. When you shut your ads off, the algorithm actually says, and I know because I've seen this over the years, like clockwork, hey, everything I knew about this advertiser that, ultimately tells me whether I should show this person or not, I'm not so sure about it anymore. So what I'm going to do is promote these advertisers over here that are a lot more consistent, because at least with them, even though their ads aren't quite as good, we know what we get with them. They don't shut off their ads randomly, and therefore don't know if this guy's going to be around next month, next year, whatever. So with that said, okay, I've talked about how on other videos, how when you start advertising on Google, your ads conversion rate is going to be much, much lower than what it is later on. And that is what contributes to ads taking time to get seasoned, get broken in to where they are profitable. To the point where, especially if you're in a B2B service market, it could take a year for the ads to be profitable, because at the beginning, because there's just a small section of the traffic that actually converts well, where there's actual money there. So if you're targeting, let's say, ADA compliant services, or you're a firm that consults companies on disability and complying with disability requirements, people typing in ADA consulting firms, 10% of that's actually buying traffic, or 10 to 20. You start advertising, Google thinks you're just one of these guys that are going to be in and out in 90 days. They're not going to have your ad show up for the portion of the traffic that converts well, because they want the guys that they know has the best ads, best landing pages / website. They want to show them in front of the people that are most likely to convert, that 10, 20%, because they want to encourage that person to stay around. And they also know that that advertiser provides the best experience to them. So when you start advertising, Google gives you the crappiest end of the traffic. They'll give you maybe a tiny, tiny sliver of the good quality traffic just to see how you handle it. And then you have to slowly break your way in. And eventually, if you advertise for that whole year and you had the better ad and you had the better landing page for the algorithm to look at, see that it's better than their previous favorite advertisers, then you get that leading spot where you're getting shown basically every time for that 10, 20% instead of somebody else, which contributes to your profitability of your ads. When you pause your ads, though, even though Google knows you have the best ad, best landing page, best website, they're actually going to take you out of that position you earned over time, over the months and or years it took to get there, and they're going to put you down here at the bottom of the pile, so you're getting that shitty version of the traffic again. Because Google, by the way, can tell the traffic that's likely to convert or not, because they can see everything that person's done forever, back 20 years. And similar to that, they can see everybody who's converted, everybody who hasn't, what traits the people that convert versus don't convert. And they get to decide if you're going to be the one who gets in front of the person who converts or not. And they're very finicky about this. If you make a bunch of changes in your account, you'll actually get back into learning mode, and you'll have to work your way back up to the good positioning with Google again. If you shut off your ads, it's the same thing, but worse. So with all that said, if you shut off your ads, you're likely going to have poor quality traffic when you turn on your ads again, and you just will get shown less, generally speaking. So both of those things will occur. It's actually much better to just lower your budget and keep your ads on than outright pausing. Given that when you lower your budgets, the Google's algorithm doesn't look at you nearly as poorly as when you just pause your ads outright, if you will. For that matter, in terms of how much can you're probably wondering, well, if lowering your budget is better than pausing your ads, how much can I lower the budget and get away with before Google starts giving me the portion of the traffic that doesn't convert very well itself? And that is pretty much that I found you can lower it by 75% in terms of your ad budget. And for the most part, not see your conversion rates change up itself. And when you start to raise the budget again, get up to speed where you were before in terms of the impressions you were getting before fairly quickly. If you wanted to basically have no effect and take basically no time to get the amount of impressions you had before, then you need to be lowering your budget by no less than 25% itself. But the difference between lowering the budget and pausing the ads, the amount of time it takes to get back the impressions and the conversion rate you had before, if you lower your budget 75%, it can easily take you a good 7 days to get back to where you were before. By pausing your ads for a few days and then turning them back on again, it can easily take 2 to 4 weeks. So it's practically speaking, 2 to 4 times as bad. Okay, so it's not good still to lower your budget 75%, but way better. So cost-benefit analysis-wise, if you will, it's better to lose that 25% of your budget that you're still spending on traffic that you can't help than saving all of the ad budget, but it takes you a full month to get back to where you were before. Because if your ads were making you 10 grand a month in profit before, of course, losing out on almost a whole month's worth of profit there just to save your ad spend for a few days, it's just not smart to do that ultimately. To that point, I would have to not be able to deliver at all for more than 2 weeks before I considered shutting off my ads completely, as it will take a month to recover otherwise, if not a little bit more. Okay? So these are just small things that you got to know about when you advertise online if you're not going to constantly just be spinning your wheels. A lot of people don't think they need to know how these ad systems work to make money, and that's absolutely not the case nowadays, because the algorithms that run the ads are the hardest part of being able to make money with the ad systems, dealing with the algorithm, given that they're so finicky and the smallest things can put your campaigns back into learning mode. You have to learn what you can do, what you can't, when you do it, how big of a change you can make, how frequently can you make a change, and so forth. And I talk about this all in detail on this channel all the time because it's the biggest thing people screw up on. So if you're serious about making money with your ads and you want to learn how this stuff really works, subscribe to this channel because I go over all of it. And it comes from somebody who does ad strategy at our firm on dozens of accounts, 40 hours a week. And I share what works and what doesn't work on the weekends to make that possible, if you will. Furthermore, I've got a fantastic blog on my site that I also write and keep. You can find that at guaranteeppc.com/blog. The blog has the same kind of information, but it's laid out in a more visual format with the instructions, with screenshots, with everything you need to use the strategies there as well. So if you like the channel, you should check that out as well. If you have any questions about anything I've covered here so far, let me know in the comment section. I get back to every single person who leaves me a question or comment on this channel, typically within 24 hours time. It can be any marketing or advertising related question, by the way. I'm more than happy to answer those questions just as a way of saying thank you and helping the channel grow. So getting back to what I was saying here, practically speaking, if, for instance, we had a client recently and a hurricane hit, they were down in Florida, they could not handle any business because they had so many people requiring services from them, they didn't want to run their ads. But with that, we shut off our ads completely instead of turning them down, despite me telling them that. And we had them shut down for about 2 months. When we turned it back on, it took 3 to 6 months just to get back to the old position we were at. Granted, it was a fairly competitive market. It was in restoration services. That's what kind of damage we're talking about. So it's almost like, not to say that this can be counted on directly. If you're going to pause your ads for 3 days, expect it to be 10 days when you turn them back on before your ads getting back to where they were. If it's a week, at least 3 weeks. If it's been 3 weeks, at least a couple months. So they basically multiply it by 3, and that's the minimum itself. 3 to 6x the amount of time that you shut your ads off should be the time before they completely get back on track, exactly the way that they were before, in terms of not only just the impressions, but the profit that they were generating, okay? So, you're saving money shutting them off. Of course, it's going to take you a hell of a long time to get your ads back on track, to the point where, again, if you're not sure when you're going to have your ads back on again or you're going to need it, then you just turn the budget way down and then you keep it at a maintenance budget there until you need to turn it up again. What I would do if I were running the business and I couldn't deliver, at least for a service business, I'm going to take the lead, I'm going to sub it out to somebody else, or I'm going to sell the leads just as a way to subsidize the cost of the ad spend, which would be a hell of a lot better than shutting the ads off and then turn them on a little bit later. For that matter, you may not want to deal with that. Maybe you shut your ads off anyway, but anymore, Google over the years has gotten more and more finicky about advertisers that are not serious and really pushing them to the back of the line in terms of the good quality traffic when you start to mess with your budget, turning ads off at all. I've similarly seen with pest control companies that won't run their ads over the winter time itself, and they'll just run their ads in the spring. But when, in the spring is where the most of the business comes in. Well, they'll say, I want to shut my ads over the winter, turn them on in March when the business is good. The amount of business they get in March, April is less than half of what they would have got otherwise, at least coming from the ads, because it takes 60 days just for the ads to get warmed up again when they were off for 3 months for the winter time. 3+ months, 3 to 4 months, which is what you're dealing with. So you're basically forced to not be able to, where you can't do this. And for that matter as well, if somebody's searching for pest control Dallas, let's say that they're searching for that, they're not searching for their health. They're interested in it. They're just not ready to pull the trigger on it in January. So I wouldn't think about it as purely waste. I would just think about it as I'm building brand recognition in that off season, so that in March, when they go to choose somebody, I'm already first in line to get chosen. So instead of thinking like, oh, nobody buys during December, so I'm not going to advertise. Pest control would be kind of like the worst example of that. The best would be like the roofing space. A lot of people, because it's a big decision, they'll plan a roof for a new roof for their house for months in advance. And so in that case, some people would be short-sighted and just shut off their ads during December, January, and February, because ultimately nobody can get a roof installed in the winter time. But me, myself, I'm going to run at least a half budget during those months so that I'm getting in front of people while they're doing their research, and I'm first in line when March hits, when all the sales come in. People they advertise in March, April, May, where all the main sales are, and they think that's the best time to advertise, when really the sales are good during that time, because generally speaking, because they saw your ad a few months ago, and then now when they come through, they're just putting their order through then. A lot of it anyway. So if you're not sure about the situation you're in, what you should do with this, you can always reach out to me at my firm at guaranteedppc.com and get a private conversation with me. I can do some coaching with you, let you know your best options. And with that, I can tell you what else you can do to make your ads work. Either, your ROI is not there for your company, or you can't scale. In either case, I can show you where the bottlenecks are and get you back on track again. If you want somebody that will set up your ads and guarantee your results physically, do all the work, this is our primary service that our firm offers. And we can give you an offer of a certain guarantee of results up front as well along with it, which we're the only agency out there doing this. We also sell templates. If we've already worked in your niche market before, we could sell you the winning ads, landing pages, all of it that work for your niche market. We can tell you the results you would get with it up front. And as long as you're in a different city or country that our client is in, you can use it for yourself there. And we can tell you the results you're going to get with it up front. We worked in over 100 different niche markets to be able to, offer you these templates, or ultimately the chances are high that we've already got a template that'll work for your market, because you've worked in hundreds of different niche markets before. So you should at least reach out to us and see if we worked in your niche market and what results we got, because you could save yourself a ton of time and money trying to figure out how to get ads to work in your market when we've already done it already. So in terms of pausing your ads, it's generally speaking a big no-no unless you're going to be out for more than 2 weeks. And even then, just know if when you do turn them on, if busy season is going to hit, like with the pest control company example, like I mentioned before, you may have to keep them on at maintenance level anyway, because when the busy season hits and you turn your ads back on, they're just not going to be delivering the way that you need to deliver, and you're going to have to spend months upon months upon months to build up to the same level of response your ads had before. Interesting, really great opportunity for you here as well. If you are looking for somebody to set up your ads, the top in class ad agency that can run your ads for free, we'll do that for you, and also give you ad spend to invest into ads on Google, on the other various ad platforms. How, is it too good to be true? No, because what we'll do in exchange of giving you free agency services, free ad spend, we'll take a cut of your revenue growth. As long as we were able to get somewhere between 1 and 10% of your gross sales, in addition to what you have right now at your company perpetually, we'll be willing to do this. We've done this with several e-commerce companies now, and it works extremely well. And of which we can give you direct references for if you reach out to me at my firm at guaranteedppc.com. But, if you want the best of the best results, that's truly the best way to get it, because we can invest massive resources in your setup at the beginning, knowing that 5 years down the line, there's going to be a massive liquidity event of some sort for our agency, and we would like to be a part of that. So as long as you've got a great product or service, we want to be able to partner with you in such a way. Reach out to me at my agency if you're interested in that. If you think you got something good, that basically all it needs is the best advertising. we're willing to work with you, or at least see if we can. I'll wrap everything up with that. Thank you very much for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.
Remember when I said ad spend was important during this video? Well, this video here tells you how to do it.